It is funny. She is so wrapped up in identity, and she had no idea who she was.
Well, now we understand why she always makes Whoopi get the coffee.
Greg Gutfeld is no stranger to stirring controversy, but the brutal takedown he delivered on The View has left viewers stunned, ABC executives scrambling, and the show reeling from the aftermath. In a moment that can only be described as a media massacre, Gutfeld obliterated Sunny Hostin, leaving her exposed, embarrassed, and completely outmatched. What started as a seemingly typical debate quickly escalated into a live TV spectacle that has since gone viral. Let's break down this explosive moment that has the entire internet buzzing. It all started when Sunny Hostin launched into one of her usual rants about identity politics and systemic racism, topics she frequently champions on The View. But this time things took an unexpected turn. As she discussed climate change and its supposed link to natural events, including earthquakes, solar eclipses, and cicada swarms, it quickly became clear that she wasn't up to par with the science behind these phenomena. Gutfeld didn't hesitate. He immediately seized the opportunity to call out Hostin's lack of knowledge, pointing out how incredibly off-base her comments were.
Guess there's nothing worse than to find out you're a white woman.
She's so disappointed.
It's really disappointing.
Her mother was white.
Oh my
The
God.
shame.
Oh.
From that moment on, he didn't hold back, launching into a scathing roast that would leave The View's audience questioning their own reality. Gutfeld's precision was surgical, highlighting just how badly Hostin had mishandled the facts. And when he dropped the bombshell that Hostin's own ancestors were slave owners, this was the moment the entire exchange shifted from a standard debate to a full-blown disaster for Hostin. As soon as Gutfeld dropped that revelation, the studio audience gasped, and for the first time, Hostin was visibly flustered. Even the unflappable Joy Behar, who usually supports Hostin's every word, couldn't hide her discomfort. Whoopi Goldberg, who's often the voice of reason on the show, was left speechless. It was an unprecedented moment of silence, as the magnitude of Gutfeld's remarks hit home. Hostin tried to brush off the uncomfortable truth, claiming that it was just a fact of life that some people made their money off the backs of others. But the damage had already been done. The hypocrisy of her own stance was glaring, and Gutfeld, like a master at the top of his game, seized the opportunity for the knockout punch. What made Gutfeld's roast so effective wasn't just his sharp wit, but his ability to pinpoint Hostin's hypocrisy.
You know, new episodes of The View when she tries to pull the race card.
Yes.
And then she's like, America is racist. And then they're like, yeah, they might be racist, but they're not.
She had spent years accusing others of perpetuating racial injustice, yet when confronted with her own personal history, one tied to the very thing she condemns, she was suddenly at a loss for words. But Gutfeld wasn't done yet. As the moment dragged on, he piled on the irony, reminding the audience that Hostin, who often criticizes others for not acknowledging their past misdeeds, was now avoiding a real reckoning with her own. In a classic Gutfeld move, he said, "Will she continue to shame others for their ancestral sins, or will she look in the mirror and see that she's now one of them?" His delivery was flawless, like a comedian effortlessly landing a punchline after the tension had built up just enough. It didn't take long for this moment to explode across social media. Clips of the exchange went viral almost instantly, sparking a wave of memes and commentary. One meme in particular had people rolling in laughter. Reparations? Let me write that check to myself real quick. The public's reaction was swift, and the internet couldn't get enough of Gutfeld's savage takedown. As the story continued to unfold, the ratings for The View plummeted, and the show's advertisers began distancing themselves.
One thing, and I would have even actually not give her any is she said, well, I guess that's just what they did back then.
Yeah.
It became clear that the controversy had much larger implications than just a single roast. The show, already known for being a political battleground, was now facing a reckoning of its own. This wasn't The View's first brush with controversy. Over the years, the show has found itself at the center of multiple scandals, ranging from Whoopi Goldberg's tone-deaf Holocaust remarks to their ongoing feuds with conservative figures. However, Gutfeld's roast felt different. It didn't just target the opinions of the hosts. It went after their credibility, exposing the flaws in their arguments with an unrelenting precision. And then there's the issue of hypocrisy. For years, Hostin has made a career out of calling out the privileged for their historical wrongs, only to be confronted with the fact that she herself is a descendant of slave owners. The irony was too much to ignore, and the backlash was swift. ABC executives were left scrambling in the wake of the roast, as the ratings for The View dropped and advertisers began to pull their support. The network had already faced mounting legal issues due to the show's history of defamation lawsuits, and this latest scandal was the last thing they needed. Behind the scenes, reports leaked that the network was considering drastic changes to the show's lineup.
I'm gonna do a roast at the Trump inauguration. Yeah. Okay. Oh, no one else had any thought?
Some insiders even speculated that ABC might pull the plug on The View entirely, especially if the backlash continued to grow. Could this be the beginning of the end for the show? What made the situation even more fascinating was Hostin's response to the revelation about her family's past. Rather than acknowledging the discomfort of her newfound knowledge, she tried to brush it off as if it was no big deal. She said it was just a fact of life, and quickly pivoted to how she and her husband shared these roots. This was the turning point for many viewers. Hostin's inability to confront her own hypocrisy head-on left her looking even more out of touch than before. Her attempt to minimize the situation only added fuel to the fire, and as Gutfeld pointed out, it was the epitome of the identity politics she so often champions. Now the big question on everyone's mind is, will Sunny Hostin recover from this? Can she continue pushing the same divisive talking points after such a devastating blow to her credibility? And more importantly, will The View ever be the same again? In the days that followed, Greg Gutfeld's ratings soared, with fans flocking to watch his late-night show for a front-row seat to the drama. Gutfeld didn't just win the argument. He won the entire news cycle. Meanwhile, ABC's decision-makers were left to assess how deep the damage went. Could this be the final nail in the coffin for The View? Or will it simply be another chapter in the show's long history of controversy? Advertisers are already pulling away, the audience is divided, and ABC is faced with a major decision. Do they continue to back the show, hoping the controversy will blow over? Or do they make radical changes to salvage what's left of the brand? One thing's for sure, The View's future is now uncertain, and Gutfeld has changed the game. As for Sunny Hostin, will she double down on her rhetoric or reevaluate her approach? The next few weeks will tell us everything we need to know about where this controversy goes from here. So what do you think about Greg Gutfeld's roast? Is Sunny Hostin's hypocrisy too much to ignore? And will The View ever recover from this blow? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on the latest trending topics.